Liang, you have experienced the extreme retooling of the school system in an effort to keep the kids in school. Could you share your thoughts and your personal experiences?
Well, you know the old expression, Luke, freedom is not free, right? But you assume that it is, right? So the system I grew up in until I was in grade 8 was a very strict authoritarian system. There's very little time for independent thought. But what was happening in the overall society is that because there was so much money in the industrial sector, most people were quitting school in grades 10, 11, going to become an industrial worker, you know, so much money. So the system sees this and goes, gosh, we have to do something that's more all-encompassing, that's more embracing. So they went to an extremely liberal system. Suddenly we didn't have to, for instance, didn't have to address a person by their formal name. We could address them by their first name. A teacher, Luke, of all things. And it was like, suddenly their social status was, of course, lowered. They became our friends, but they were not really our friends. So because there got to be virtually no structure and no homework and no anything, I just kind of slipped off the scale, really, you know. And I was just fortunate enough that my sister was in the theater club. And in our theater group, we were the best in the province for a number of years in competition for whatever reason, and remarkable. And at the time, there were probably 2 or 3 million people in the province, so there were a lot of students. You know, we were young. Statistically, the demographic rates were much higher amongst young people at the time. Very good. And so I get encouraged to get into this club to find something to do, right? So I have to go and meet the director, and his name was Roger Sparks, an immense man, big man, but bald, no hair, a big beard. And he always wore black, and so he was kind of formal, as I remember, and he said, "So, Mr. Couvée, you want to join our theater club?" And I said, "Oh, yes, Dr. Sparks, I would like to join." So he said, "Show me a fish." I'm sorry? Show me a fish. Dr. Sparks, what do you mean? What does a fish do? So I kind of didn't know what to do, Luke, so I've kind of, you know, not bad. So I got into his his theater club. Improvisational theater out of New York was very large at the time. And in that theater club, we worked very, very hard, you know, hours upon hours after school, all extracurricular after school. And we did 3 plays, if I remember correctly, and we won the competition. And then at the time, the federal government decided that we're going to go on a tour. So I went on a tour, theater tour, to Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa. I mean, shocking for a man or a boy, really, from a village of 1,000 people. So Dr. Sparks, and then I had a French teacher by the name of Dom Gonzalez. These 2 people were instrumental in changing my life. So my math marks were extremely poor, but my English marks were quite good. My theater marks and my French marks were very high. So this is how I graduated, you know, with a high score. I mean, I would not call it a supreme score, Luke, but for our time, I did well.
Students from every generation want to be accepted by their peers. What did your generation do?
Well, I know it's remarkable and hard to believe for us, but everyone smoked in our society at the time, right? And of course, as young people, we were not allowed to smoke. However, the school decided that we could smoke in school, and we had a smoking pit or a smoking area. And what you would do with your cigarette ash you're smoking, you know, oh, that's a really good idea, you know. And you would take your cigarette ash and you would drop it onto your blue jeans and you would rub the blue jeans. Now, the whiter the blue jeans got, of course, the more intellectual you were because you obviously spoke more. Like Jean-Paul Sartre, right? We're right here, you know, this idea, right? You know, and then if I could share a story, my mother, who was the typical stay-at-home mom of the time, everything was pristine, was clean. And she discovers I had 2 pairs of blue jeans, and she discovered them in my closet. Horrified, washed them. And I went to get my blue jeans on Monday morning, and here they are clean, sitting in the folded neatly. And I said, "What did you do?" "I washed your blue jeans." I said, "Why?" "Why?" "Because they were dirty." "They weren't dirty." So I had to go to school with clean blue jeans, and everyone goes, "Are you okay, Leon?" But your social status just collapsed. Took a month to begin to get the blue jeans back. And I used to hide them from my mother so she wouldn't wash them. "Where are your blue jeans, dear?" "Ah, Mom, I left them at school today." Yeah.
What does this story tell us?
Well, I think to me, Luke, I was desperate to belong. I wanted to belong, and I wanted to be accepted. And I just had a terrible body image, and this, once again, that was eradicated by an occurrence in my life, But I think all young people I notice experience this, because suddenly we're waking up, and we're waking up, and we realize that there is a dualism between the beautiful self inside and this, the temple that I'm carrying, And there's some philosophers that say we're one being. There's other people, there's other religions for that matter, say we're two. And I don't think it really matters. We do know that this temple is me, and I can alter it somewhat, but not a lot. This is it. What I've been given is me, as a physical, corporeal being, as we say, I think we all experience that, Luke, Gosh.
As parents, we want the best for our kids, and many of them are lost, and they are seeking to find a meaning of life. Could you elaborate?
Well, I went to a yoga class, a yoga seminar in southern India, and there's a guru there, all non-religious, of course, but there's a guru there, and he says that we are fundamentally 4 things, naturally. I don't have to look for them, they're inside me. Firstly, I am naturally happy. Naturally happy. I'm naturally peaceful. I don't want to kill you, Luke. I'm not looking for aggression, for war. We are naturally in a state of love. I would far rather be in love with society, my family, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my whomever, than to not be in a state of love. And the 4th one, most importantly, is we are naturally seekers. We're naturally looking to enlarge our world. And this is what Viktor Frankl says in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. We're looking for why me? Why am I here? Me, the beautiful me. And I think as educators, we have to encourage people, to find that mission. And I think society itself, tells us, what do we do, Luke? Well, I go for 12 years of high school, and then I go to university. I have no idea why I'm going to university, but I'm being told that I must go. So then I finish. Maybe I stay for 6 years, get a master's, whatever. I get out, right? And I suddenly realize, Luke, wow, guess what, Leon? You're not very special, and you're not very important, and you're actually a nobody, and you're shocked. And now what? Now what? Well, you have a job. So any job, the job that kind of fits your degree, but not really, but sort of, right? And you blunder along. And then now I've read that over 50% of young people write the civil service exam so they can work for the government, right? But any bureaucratic institution, unfortunately, long-term is death of the mind. There's been studies done by the BBC that have actually affirmed this, So here we are, and I think as educators, gosh, there's so much. The human family is a huge resource, Luke, and I don't know if we're really capitalizing on this in the way that we should be capitalizing on it, right? And each of us is so beautiful and so unique, and I don't mean that in a pompous, arrogant sense, but there's never been me, ever. There's no one like me. There never has been, and there never will be. And I do myself well, the best, the only person who can do me is me. And I think as educators, we have to find, we all should be locksmiths, Luke, right? We're just going to give those young people the keys to who they are. Because who's your teacher, Luke? The self. That's it. That's it. There's no one teaching you but you, right? So that's why I'm kind of passionate about that, you know.
Is it easy to find what you should do with your life, or is it hard?
Yeah. Well, it's the old story, Luke, you know. What was the first thing I knew this morning? I knew that I was alive. And how did I know it was me? Well, I knew it was me because, of course, you know, I have memories from yesterday, right? So with those two things in mind, I realized that I am my own nuclear energy, if you will, and I can then go forward, you know, into the world. And I think if I don't document at some point in my life that I'm unique, I'm not. Very simple. I'm not. I'm not. And there's many examples of people that are just not unique because they decided not to be, right? You know? And so I think that the role of the educator, if you will, is to try to encourage this, you know, so we're able to, you know, nurture all of these beautiful people. I mean, the violence that exists in the world, you know, is usually as a result of people not being able to communicate properly. And how do we communicate? We learn to communicate through education and travel, of course. You know, but we realize if we've traveled at all, and I've traveled quite a lot in my life, you know, if you lance a person's hand, whatever color of their skin, orange, pink, blue, yellow, whatever it is, you lance their hand, the blood is red, and the same thing as my blood. So we're all a part of the human family.